So whenever you do a fence at your home, you're gonna need to find your property pins. Now here we do have a survey, so it tells us the dimensions of the lot and the kind of general area that this pin is in. But if you're looking at your own home and it's a subdivision like this, one thing, typically these front pins are a certain distance from the back of the curb. So we've got a tape right here at the back of the curb, and they usually, and that's a rule of thumb, it's not exact, but typically somewhere between 10.5 feet to about 12 feet is where they're gonna set those pins from the back of that curb on the front of your property. So here we've determined that this area, there's some old white paint we've marked, is where that is. So this here is typical too. Once you've got the topsoil brought in and the sod laid over, it's usually covering those pins so they're not typically visible. You can see over here there was a marker, but somebody, and typical on a construction site, has knocked this over and just thrown it over there. So it makes our job a little bit harder at finding it. But from the survey, we know it's somewhere in here. So I'm gonna see what I pick up with the metal detector. And so that sound right there is something for iron, which is what we're looking for. You wanna make sure that sometimes you'll pick up on nails and other stuff, but so that's our spot. I'm gonna check out there and just kind of dig this up. So here, that's what we're looking for. That yellow cap is the cap of the actual pin itself. That pink ribbon is what surveyors use to mark. So whenever you see pink, that typically refers to a survey marker. But that right there, see just a couple inches below the surface is your pin, your property pin for this lot. All right, so how much does a fence cost and what affects your cost of your fence? The first thing is the size of your yard or size of the fence. The second is the layout, how it lays out in each run of the fence. The third is gonna be the type of fence, whether it's what material, the wood, chain link, vinyl, steel. The fourth is gonna be the height and the style. The fifth would be the gates, how many gates, type of gates, what access you need. Then the sixth is gonna be site conditions and things that we either have to work around or consider in the installation process. And then the seventh would be whether you have an old fence to remove or not. All right, so those are the 7 main aspects, but what you really came for was actually real numbers. So let's dive into the numbers of what your fence is gonna cost. All right, so as we talked about those 7 aspects, I did go back and look at some numbers from the past couple years to give you a realistic range of what you may expect, or some averages that we had on different fence projects. So to break that down, in 2023, our average job size was $6,400. So that could range from small projects that were, $1,500 to a couple $1,000 to multiple thousand, even into some commercial jobs can be into like multiple six figure. But again, just an average for 23 was about $6,400. Now, we did have some material price decreases from 23 to 24. So the average job for 2024 was around $5,500. And so that's kind of where we were through last year of an average. Right now, thankfully over the last year and a half, prices have been stable, thankfully. The years past with COVID, some of that stuff was changing daily, hourly. So things have been stable. I was just talking to one of our reps yesterday that they project that in 2025 things will continue to be pretty stable. We will probably see some small increases, maybe a few percentage points, up to about 5% increase. But you could expect that it'd be close to an average for 2025, close to that 24 average of potentially about $5,500. But again, it depends on all those aspects. So based on material or per foot price, I went back and looked, and So total range per foot, you could be anywhere from $13 a foot on up to close to $200 a foot, depending on what type of fence that you choose. That lower end is more of probably like the chain link and wood. So with chain link specifically, there's about a range in a per foot price of about $13 a foot to $30 a foot. And then I looked at that on a project basis. So on a project basis, again, considering an average of 200 feet, that's just kind of an average yard. Yours could be more or less, but on an average of 200 feet with a couple of gates, chain link project would expect to be between $4,000 to $8,000. $4,000 being more of like a 4-foot residential fence, $8,000 being more of maybe a security fence, more commercial setting for an average of 200 feet. In wood, per foot price would range from about $22 to $60 plus, and on a project basis of an average of 200 feet. On a typical like 6-foot privacy, could be between $5,500 to $6,500. Now, if you did some common upgrades like steel post or cedar pickets, that may be more of a range of $6,000 to $9,000, again at that 200-foot average. Then on steel, per foot is going to range between typically $35 to $50 a foot, and on a project basis with a couple gates and things, I would expect to be between $9,000 to $12,000 on a regular 200-foot job. On vinyl, there's a range with vinyl, because with like a rail fence vinyl versus like a privacy, there is some cost difference, but it ranges from $17 a foot to $100 a foot, and again depends on the type. But so with like a ranch style fence on a project basis of 200 feet, maybe more around like the $7,000 range, could range up to about $15,000 with maybe like a more of a vinyl privacy style. And then on a composite or a Trex, per foot is going to range from 90 to about 120 plus, depending on the options. So on a average 200-foot yard with a couple of gates, you're going to be looking at between $20,000 to $25,000 for a good quality composite fence. Again, on another Perimtech or fence track option, which is another composite option that utilizes a steel post with a composite board, that's going to range between $100 to $170 a foot. And then on a project of 200 feet with a couple gates would be around the range of $23,000 to about $37,000. So that's kind of I'd say some real numbers of looking at some past data and what I would expect to see this year. Again, those are more broad ranges, and those aspects that we talked about as far as size, layout, gates, are all going to affect what that is. So hopefully that's helpful in helping you plan and budget for your fence project. Make sure and like this video, it helps us out a ton, and subscribe to the channel for more fences just like this.